We're going to start the project by removing the chains and the hooks that are attached to each one. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to secure them together. Then you're going to take your baskets outside, and I just held up these two hanging planters to spray them with a little spray paint. Once you've let it dry, you're going to grab a pack of string lights. I used wire string lights. So once you have secured the lights, then you're going to want to install the batteries and check and make sure it works.
The next time you are at your local dollar store, pick up some wire garden hanging baskets. Turn one wire basket upside down and place on top of a second basket. Secure together by using 3 zip ties that are placed equidistant from each other. Take a string of LED lights, hang the battery box inside the basket globe, and connect to the top. Turn the lights on and wrap the lights evenly around the globe, both vertically and horizontally. Secure the end of the light string to the basket using a twist tie. Using a leafy garland of your choice, start to tuck and glue the different leaves to the wire basket globe. Now, remember all those chains and hooks that you removed from the baskets? Let's put them to good use. Reconnect these chains of different lengths to the hooks and tighten the hook back together using some pliers. If you have a porch swing, here is a fun way to hang the globes without drilling additional holes into your porch ceiling. Thread the stick through your porch swing ceiling hooks to create a horizontal rod. Grab a wire mesh trash can from the dollar store. Take a remote-controlled puck light. These are available at Amazon and attached to the inside bottom of the trash can. Now flip the trash can upside down and hook one end of the chain to one side of the basket bottom. Next, take a length of greenery garland and cut it into roughly 12-inch pieces. Now take some florist wire and start to wire the garland pieces to the top.
Grab some solar lights from Dollar Tree to create this outdoor decor. I'm going to grab a pool noodle as well. I'm going to cut this into small 1-inch sections, and then I'm going to paint 3 of those sections a really dark black color. I picked up this really heavy metal candle holder from a thrift store. Now I'm going to put it all together. Then I can grab my solar lights, pull off that bottom, I don't need that, and I can glue each of the lights into the center of the pool noodle.
Let's head down to our local hardware store and grab a 3-inch pipe. What I need to do is cut this in half. Easy to do since it's 2 foot long. We're just take a little bit of 80 grit sandpaper, rub it all the way around, and it'll smooth it. We are going to go randomly around the pipe and drill holes. So as you can see, as we start to paint, we got small, medium, and large. And now I grab some little Jenga pieces, use this scrap piece of wood that I have, and I'm going to glue these down. Once we get it all glued up, I'm going to take some black spray paint and paint this wood. Take some hot glue, and again, I got some rope from the dollar store. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on the inside of the pipe. Now, just keep wrapping that string all the way around. That's going to be our little barrier that's going to hold our light in. Now it's time to take that board we painted, turn it around, and we're just going to put a mounting hook on the back. We're going to take some hot glue. We're going to take our pipe, center it, and go ahead and push it down firmly.
Grab a hula hoop and fairy lights to make this outdoor display. So I'm going to start by spray painting them black. I opted for this really long strand of lights from Dollar Tree. It's on a wire, so it's really easy to wrap around the hula hoop. I'm going to hang these in my gazebo to add a little light. I'm using zip ties to attach these to the rail along the top of my gazebo. Grab a solar light, pull off the stake, we don't need that part. Then use some hot glue to add it to a metal sconce. I picked these up at the thrift store, they're nice and heavy. Then use a screw hook in a fence or a deck and hang the sconces outside.
Go ahead and grab yourself a tomato cage and also grab some wood shims. Grab a scrap board, take the thick end. We're going to get a nice clean hole, and we're going to do this to all of our shims. What we're going to do is take a towel and just dip it in there, make sure it's all covered. Just wipe it on there. The sticky points that go into the ground, we don't need those. It's just going to snap right off. Now we're going to grab us some copper wire. We're going to put that through the shim with the hole in it. Just use it like a twist tie. Go all the way around. Once you get the second layer done, we're going to grab us a solar light from Dollar Tree. Take off that small part on the bottom, the stake, we don't need that, and let it float right in the middle. Now we're going to work on that last circle.
So to start this project, we're going to take 2 of these decorative mirrors and found these 2 hexagon frames from Dollar Tree. So we're going to first disassemble and we're going to spray paint. And all we're going to be doing is we're going to be gluing this decorative mirror to this frame. We're going to take some LED puck lights. They come with these little sheets of adhesive, and we are going to secure it to the back here.
The next time you're at the thrift store, don't pass by the vase aisle with grabbing some of the globe-shaped vases. I'm going to make sure I give them a good clean. Came in with this Americana Enchanted paint, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint all the glass vases that I bought with just a nice light coat. Now you do want to make sure that you buy pots that have holes in the bottom. That's very important. And then I'm going to come in with some heavy strength Gorilla Glue here and apply it to the bottom of the terracotta pot, and then I'm going to put my globe on top of that. Then I picked up these fairy solar lights off of Amazon, and this is why you want the hole in the bottom of the terracotta pot, because I'm going to be threading the fairy lights through this hole up into the globe.
Ran down to Home Depot and picked up some beautiful flowers as well as 2 of these different hanging baskets. I removed the chain from both the baskets and ended up removing the insert from one of the baskets. I opened everything up, placed my flowers inside, closed it again with the top frame on the top, lined up the holes, and added zip ties to hold everything together securely. My next step was to add the lights. These are solar powered lights, so they'll work great when I use them outside. Once it was all wrapped and ready, I was able to just let it sit in the sun for a few hours so that it could charge up.
Pick up 1 garden border from your local Dollar Tree. Cut the spike bases off, add small black zip ties to attach the wreath form to the border fence. Wrap the border fence with small twinkle lights all the way around. Add greenery of choice around the top of the border fence with hot glue.
You're not going to believe what I made with this plunger and funnel. I removed the wood stick from the plunger and flipped the rubber end inside out. I drew a circle on the top. I cut out the circle and trimmed the edges and spray painted it with Rust-Oleum black spray paint. While that was drying, I cut and sanded 1x6 wood planks. I attached the painted rubber plunger piece to the barnwood with 4 black screws. Next, I cut the wood plunger handle and I screwed it into the plunger part. I attached the funnel to the wood plunger handle. I used hot glue and attached a battery-operated puck light.
You're going to need some dollar store solar lights. Flip the bowl upside down and we need to remove the label. Next, I'm going to focus on the solar light. So we just take the stem off. We're not even going to need that. You need to open up the solar light and pull out the tag so that the solar light works. Then you can place that back on and this part is ready to be used. This will be the base of our project. What I'll be using for this project for weight are these dollar store rocks. So I'm gonna be placing them inside. For the next step, I'm gonna place the solar light in top like this. I'll go ahead and add a few more rocks to this. So what I'm gonna do is add a little dab of hot glue on each corner, like so. I'm gonna take that bowl and flip it upside down and place it right there on top so it's centered. So just to show you, if I remove this out, you can see here, I would be able to pull this off and replace this easily with another dollar store solar light if this burns out at some point.
So I picked up a couple of these dollar store solar lights and I'm gonna take them apart. I just need that kind of crystal plastic part and the top. So I'm gonna cover the light bulb on the bottom and then I'm gonna cover the solar panel on top and then use a craft knife to cut around it so you get perfectly straight lines. This is a 7-inch basic embroidery hoop. So I'm gonna untwist this screw and put that aside. I'm taking them outside and I am adding a couple coats of a matte black spray paint. Make sure they're fully dry to the touch and now we can assemble. So first we wanna remove the painter's tape so that these solar lights work. On the clear plastic part, there are 2 little clips that help attach it to the top. And I'm just gonna take some floral wire and wrap it around each one of those clips. Wrap it nice and tight so it hugs the plastic closely. And then I'm able to screw the black part back on top and the wire is still gonna hang out either side. I picked this chain up at the craft store. It is actually in the jewelry section. I'm gonna thread the chain through the screw and tighten it about halfway. The solar light is going to hang from the inside hoop. So I'm just gonna use my floral wire and wrap it around that hoop. Now I can put this middle hoop, the smaller hoop, back inside the larger one. Now once everything's in place, I can tighten this screw.
Grab a Dollar Tree solar light and one of those tall glass vases. Put the base of the solar light into the vase and then fill around it with some decorative stones. Add the top and use these on an outdoor table to add some soft lighting. Remove the top of a solar light and wrap some floral wire around it to create a swing. Place this inside a paper lantern and use these in your outdoor space. Grab a few small clay pots. They can even have the soil in them. Place a solar light into the middle and fill around it with stones to hold it in place. You can use these small pots to line a walkway. Grab a larger planter, place a few solar lights in it, and then fill around it with rocks. It's a great way to add light to a corner where solar lights don't naturally stick into the ground.
I'm going to grab me some solar lights. Next, head over to the hardware store. I'm going to grab me about 100 feet of nylon rope. First thing I got to do is blow up this dollar beach ball. Then I got to get out some Portland cement. Make sure it's not concrete, but cement. You want it actually really thin because we need to coat that rope. Now, on that beach ball, just start laying that rope. You're just going to start roping it all the way around. Once you get to the end, what you're going to do is tuck that last bit in underneath the rope. And it's going to hold it in place. Then what we can do is move on to possibly adding a little bit more cement. Make sure you cover all that rope. We want it to stiffen up as best we can. Let it sit for a couple hours once we get it covered. Once it's covered, take a knife and just puncture the beach ball. Once we get it all the air out, just go ahead and pull it through one of the bigger openings between the ropes. Now, I want to clean it up. Took a little bit of a plastic fork and just clean up the edges. Don't want anything flaking off. Take a squirt bottle and start squirting all the string, and you're just going to powder it with the cement. Just keep doing that all over. What this does is make it thicker and strengthen it up. We're going to grab that dollar light again. Take out the bottom part. You're going to turn it around, put it in, and that's what's going to stick into the ground. Go ahead and put it right into the ground, right in the area you want to put it. And then you're going to take your string orb and you're going to put it right over the light, right in the middle, and lay it on down. Once it's in place, it just looks really good, just sitting there. It's waterproof because it's on the nylon rope and it's made out of cement. But once night comes, look at it light up. It is amazing to see from your yard and from the street.
We're going to start by cutting the 4x4 down 28 inches. Next, we're going to take the post cap out of the box and prep it for painting. Decided to use some spray paint on them to get the look that I was going for. So I'm covering up the solar panel, and then I'm covering up the glass frame around the light. Next, using a hacksaw, we're going to cut down the angled bar into 4 pieces, 24-inch pieces. You want to use a hacksaw with multiple tiny teeth because it makes the cutting process a lot easier. With the angled bars cut, I'm setting up this spray shelter so that I can spray paint the angled bars as well as the post cap. I'm painting the 4x4 post with an exterior solid base paint by Behr called Catalina Coast. This is where you're going to glue the angled bars. You want to make sure to leave that ½ inch from the top of the post. This will ensure that the post cap will lay flat on the surface. With the spray paint dry, I was then able to use a 5-in-1 tool and remove the painter's tape and place the post cap at the top of the pole. With my solar post complete, I dug a hole about 6 to 8 inches deep so that I can place my posts in the ground. And I also used some quick setting concrete around the pole so that they would be nice and sturdy. I love the way this turned out. This completely transformed my walkway.
Here are a few ways you can add ambiance to your yard by using solar lights. This taper candle holder I found at a thrift store. I added silicone to each holder spot and then added the top of a solar light to each one. I let it dry for 24 hours and it's ready to go outside. To make some light up address numbers for your home, using a stencil or freehand, you can paint or use a Sharpie to draw on your numbers. Add some glass rocks or any decoration inside you like. Add some water as it will amplify the light reflection. Pull your solar light apart and you only need the top piece. Place that inside the lid of the mason jar and screw the lids back on. To make a terracotta pot lighthouse, you'll need 3 different size terracotta pots. This is so they'll stack easily. Start by painting your terracotta pots whatever color you like. Pull the solar light apart and cut the little stem off the solar light to make it flat. Add silicone to the base of the solar light and put it on the top of the terracotta pots for your light. Using some more paint or Sharpies, draw on your windows or any other decorations you'd like. Once it's dry, you're all set to go. You can put it outside and enjoy it.
To begin this project, choose your solar light set. Next, using 1/2 inch by 3/4 inch board, measure and cut 8 8-inch sections. Using a rad nailer, I secured these together, creating a square, but if you don't have access to this tool, you can always use a screw. Next, decide how long you want your light to be. We chose to use a 1 by 2 by 30 inch board. After sanding, find the middle of the board and mark off 5 points. We spaced ours 5 inches apart. Using a paddle bit, drill through the center of the board. After finding the center on the side piece and the length board, line them up and then secure. Once everything is square, measure your final 4 boards to make a hollow rectangle. Cut and secure these as you did the side squares. Finally, attach 2 eye hooks to either side to use for hanging. After my eye hooks were secure, I attached 3 feet of black chain link to each side of my chandelier. You can leave this raw wood and coat with a polyurethane to protect it from the outdoors, but I chose to use a satin black spray paint. Once my spray paint was dry, it was time to secure my solar lights. This took a little force, but warming up the plastic in the sun can make the tube more pliable. I chose to cut down my tubes, but this is of course personal preference. I have a pergola out back where I hung my new chandelier from 2 screw hooks. I absolutely love the new ambiance it creates, not only at nighttime, but it also adds a designer touch to my outdoor space.
I have this cooler, and while it's functional, it could look a whole lot better. I'm going to give it a good sanded. Next, I want to put a thin layer of Fusion Ultra Grip all over the blue area. This is going to allow me to paint it, and for the paint to stick, it's time to start painting it. I'm basically going to cover everything blue. I'm going to start taping it off now that the white paint is completely dry. With the stripes taped off, I'm going to paint between the tape lines now. I can also start to peel off the painter's tape. To finish off my cooler, I want to do something with the boring top. I found this contact paper that looks like wood.
Headed down to my local Dollar Tree. I'm going to start with these glass beads. I'm going to also head over and get some rubbing alcohol. Next, I grabbed this bowl, got it from Home Depot. I'm going to grab some sand, start putting it in the bottom. So you want to fill it up to where when you get your bowl, you're going to kind of be level with the top and it has a firm foundation. Let's go ahead and start putting some more sand in so that it holds it in place. To level it out. Make sure that bowl is firm. We don't want any spillage or that thing moving when we light it up. Go ahead and put the metal bowl in, and then remember those glass beads and start placing them all the way around. Take that rubbing alcohol and pour a little bit in there. Give it a little bit of a flame and it's going to light right up.
Get a styrofoam cooler. I found mine at Walmart. Take a piece of cardboard, trace with a Sharpie, and cut with an X-Acto blade to make it slightly smaller than the lid of the cooler. Take a piece of upholstery foam and trace with a Sharpie and cut with an X-Acto blade. Hot glue the upholstery foam to the top of the lid with the cardboard on top of that. Take a blanket, rug, or textile of your choice and cut it to size to the top of the lid. Fold and hot glue to the lid and trim the excess. Use an old sheet, cut to size, and wrap around the cooler base. Hot glue all the way around the base of the cooler and trim off the excess. Cut the remainder of the blanket, fold over, and hot glue the edges to clean them up. Wrap the blanket pieces around the base with hot glue. Add tassels from the blanket around the top of the base of the cooler to give it a boho look.
Who doesn't have a dozen cardboard boxes piling up in their recycle bin? I decided it was time to put mine to use. I started with my largest box. Using my slice box opener, I started by removing all 4 flaps of the box. Once all the flaps were removed, it was time to make a mini box. I secured the long sides with duct tape and began assembling the smaller box. Using duct tape to secure all 4 sides and bottom together, I placed it inside and got started mixing concrete. I also tried adding 2 wooden dowels to later drill out for drainage holes. If you are recreating this project, be sure to line your box with packing tape for easy removal. After waiting 48 hours, just to be safe, I removed the cardboard to reveal my large planter box. After drilling out the dowel holes in the bottom and giving my entire planter a sand to remove any jagged edges,
We'll start by giving this old fence a quick sanding and then brush the dust off, and we'll be ready for stenciling. Got a dense foam roller. Offload the roller so there won't be too much paint. When you're stenciling, try to use a nice even pressure. And now you can remove the stencil. Randomly place your next stencil and just continue. Okay, I've got the stem stencil placed. So now we're going to use the leaf stencil. I pre-place my stencils to knock it right out.
I got my bucket from Walmart. Take a 1/2 by a 24-inch galvanized pipe from your local home improvement store. With liquid nails and the pipe base, I glued it to the interior base and allowed plenty of time to dry. Attach the 1/2 pipe base that was glued.
Today we're working with pool noodles. First, you want to cut the pool noodle in half to slit them right down the center. And then we're going to fold our noodle open. So I'm going to cut this all the way through. And then I'm going to turn these upside down. So I'm going to put my glue. This is cool melt, so it's not super, super hot. And then you're going to place that. Okay, so now I'm attaching the second piece and we will insert our third piece. Okay, our glue is dry. So now I'm going to trim off the ends. We are now going to put a tray on here and we're going to decorate it.
I have got these melamine plastic plates I just picked up at the dollar store. I've also got a couple of these larger silver coloured plates. That's isopropyl alcohol. I've just cleaned the plate with that. I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol here. I'm just going to squirt it onto the plate. And then I've got these really lovely, I'm just going to drop a little bit on here. I'm just going to move this around a bit to start with. Alcohol on there. There we go. Here we go. A little bit more of that. You can use a hairdryer or a heat gun. I'm just going to go around and around in circles and just see if we can get some nice kind of edges. Okay, now because this is alcohol ink, I'm actually going to seal it with this Kmart varnish. The second version that I'm going to do on these little plates is I'm actually going to use these stick and style stencils. This I've already coated with a second coat of paint. Okay, let's take this stencil off and see how it looks. Our third technique that we're going to create on these plates is going to be, we're going to go full Jackson Pollock. Next up, we're going to use this silver bullet. Exactly the same. We can do that on one of our smaller plates.
I'm gonna grab me some solar lights. Next, head over to the hardware store. I'm gonna grab me about 100 feet of nylon rope. First thing I gotta do is blow up this dollar beach ball. Then I gotta get out some Portland cement. Make sure it's not concrete, but cement. You want it actually really thin because we need to coat that rope. Now, on that beach ball, just start laying that rope. You're just gonna start roping it all the way around. Once you get to the end, what you're gonna do is tuck that last bit in underneath the rope. It's gonna hold it in place. Then what we can do is move on to possibly adding a little bit more cement. Make sure you cover all that rope. We want it to stiffen up as best we can. Let it sit for a couple hours once we get it covered. Once it's covered, take a knife and just puncture the beach ball. Once we get it all the air out, just go ahead and pull it through one of the bigger openings between the ropes. Now, I want to clean it up. Took a little bit of a plastic fork and just clean up the edges. Don't want anything flaking off. Take a squirt bottle and start squirting all the string, and you're just going to powder it with the cement. Just keep doing that all over. What this does is make it thicker and strengthen it up. We're going to grab that dollar light again. Take out the bottom part. You're going to turn it around, put it in, and that's what's going to stick into the ground. Go ahead and put it right into the ground, right in the area you want to put it. And then you're going to take your string orb and you're going to put it right over the light, right in the middle, and lay it on down.
Grab tin cans and a napkin for this brilliant porch decor. I washed 3 tin cans from the recycling, removed the labels, and scuffed up the surface with a wire brush. I wiped clean with a cloth and spray painted the outside of each can with Rust-Oleum paint and primer white spray paint. While that was drying, I spray painted some metal chain black. I set that aside to dry. I used a small drill bit to drill 3 holes evenly spaced along the top edge of the tin can. I drilled holes in the same spots at the bottom edge and the same spots again at the very bottom of the tin can. Then I cut the napkins into smaller pieces and cut around the birds. I painted outdoor Mod Podge on the tin can, placed the napkin pieces on, and sealed it with more Mod Podge. I did this for all 3 tin cans, then used a nail to poke through the holes I drilled to make sure the glue didn't close them over. I let the cans dry. 24 hours is ideal.
Pick up 2 matching plastic pots from Dollar Tree. Drill holes into the bottom of each for drainage. Then use some hot glue to glue them together. Pick up some of this rope. Use it with hot glue and coil it around. I'm choosing to create an oval. You could also create a circle depending on the space. I used 7 coils of jute.